we're talking to Jim Mallon, who not many people really know about, and although he does have many important jobs in MST3K. What exactly do you do for the show, Jim?
Well, I'm the voice of Gypsy, the robot that's not seen so often, but nonetheless is the spiritual soul of the show. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite characters or something like that.
Yeah. I'm also the producer of the show and the president of this fine Best Brains Corporation, which sole production is Mystery Science.
Oh, so this is the only thing that you do here is Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Right now. We're looking at doing some other things, but right now this is our sole product.
Okay, now are you the only owner here, or does everybody own a piece of it? Or?
Actually, the company is owned by 4 of us, Joel and myself and Tracy Kevin.
Ah, okay. Because I'm just wondering. All right. I have no idea after this. Now, Jim, we know that you're producer of the show, but what exactly does a producer do?
Okay, well, as you know, because you're making television here, there are many different disciplines that come together in order for a show to get on the air. There's lighting, costume sets, acting, and then there's a lot of things that people don't ever see, which is the finance side, the business side of paying the bills and keeping the lights on. As producer of the show, my responsibility is make sure all those elements come together so that we're under contract from HBO in New York, and we are given money and we are required to deliver product on time and on schedule. So I work with all the different people involved with the show and make sure that they have done their work so that it all comes together. Specifically, or most importantly, when we come to the set and Joel and the bots are ready to perform, we have to make sure all the props are there, the lighting sets, the cameras there, the technical room set, that the tape is in the machines, that the scripts are ready, that the props are ready. And it is my job to make sure all those elements are ready, but more importantly, the atmosphere is set so that the performers can do their best work.
Okay, so basically the producer, from the sounds of it, is one of the most important people in the whole organization.
That would be my point of view.
Well, of course, actually, you being a producer, yeah, that would be your point of view.
In a way, a producer in TV is a lot like a director in television. I mean, there are some a director in motion picture film. There are some differences, but because of the complexity of what's going on, in order to be a good producer, you have to know at least a little bit about all the various disciplines so that you know when someone is delivering their best work, when you know that someone is coming up a little bit short and should be prodded a bit. So it's an interesting position because in television, because of Hollywood, the stars do get the credit for the show. And they deserve a fair amount of it because of the unique qualities that go into becoming a star. But as far as the production goes, the producer is really the one that is making sure that it all comes together. So it's an interesting process. Most people would be hard-pressed to know who any of the producers are for TV out there. So that's part of what you have to live with if you're going to be a producer.
Okay, now you said that you have to make sure that people are doing their work. Do you ever give out disciplinary measures if they're not doing their best, or?
In this situation, that is a rare occurrence because we're working, as you may guess, with some extraordinary people.
Oh yeah.
And most of the people here are in their 30s and have a level of maturity in which you don't have to prod them. But nonetheless, this show has good moments and this show has less than good moments, and it's my job to try to make it the best that it can be and try to keep as many good moments going as possible. And that does require sitting down and talking to people. You know, we're all human, we all have our days, and people tend to work better, in my experience, if they know their work is vital and if they know they'll be held accountable if they deliver anything less than their best effort. So one of the harder parts of my job is keeping people accountable and letting them know when they're slipping. But overall, that's important and that pays off. This is a long-term commitment. We're going on our 3rd year of production. We have work scheduled through 4 years, and it's a challenge to keep everybody all revved up all the time.
Well, I appreciate your time, and
great.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks for taking the trip up here.
Oh yeah, we'll be doing an episode about that later on. But
okay.
Thanks very much.
Nice meeting you.
This is the galley where all the fresh pots of coffee are made daily.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the folks at home?
I'm Kevin Murphy. I'm the voice of Tom Servo. Hi there. Hello, Chicagoland. I'm an old Chicagoan myself.
Really? Mm-hmm. What made you move to Minnesota?
Grew up to, the weather, of course.
Oh, okay.
Grew up in River Forest, Wheaton, Illinois, both of them. Went to St. Francis High School, the Spartans.
He's doing his own interview. I like this.
Do you like it? Yeah, God, if you have a question for me, go ahead.
How long have you been associated with the show?
I've been since the very beginning, since the show started at KTMA in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm. That's Channel 23, right?
Channel 23, KTMA, TV 23, Minneapolis, St. Paul. So that's been since 1989 now.
Oh, okay. So coming up on a third year, basically.
Yep, third year here,
mm-hmm.
and we did a year at KTMA. That was 1988 when we started, I guess.
How did you come up with the character of Tom Servo?
I did
Trash thrown from Joel, people. John wants to keep that. John wants to keep that.
That's my souvenir.
Servo kind of developed. There was another voice of Tom Servo before me.
I'm not going to get into that.
I just kind of took it over when Josh left, and it's just kind of a serendipitous relationship, as they say. And here I am now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from him himself.
Watch this. This is the fun part.
Oh man! I'm out of here.
How to make coffee with Kevin Murphy.
There was, Tom Servo was actually dead, and so we had to bring him back with the robot defibrillator here. It doesn't really work, but nobody knows that. It's just a TV show. This was great. We got a bunch of stuff from this place. We found this great gadget warehouse. Look at that. It really works.
Yeah, TV. What else do you? Oh, you'll like these. You ever watch The Three Stooges when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
You work this one, you hold that down.
Okay.
These are Three Stooges guns. Frank was always a big fan of the Three Stooges, but he could never do their extremely good fight choreography. So you stand about there.
Okay.
And you let that one fly up.
Okay.
Knock. Go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
Get it?
That's cute.
Yep.
I like that.
I had a great time making these things. This was a fun one. I got one for your fans, so I'll do my impersonation. I only do one impression. Who is this?
I give up.
John Tesh. Good or what?
I like it.
Oh, let's see. What else would you like to see?
What's with the dollar bill on your left?
Well, I have a dear friend named Dean Trisco, lives in Pocatello, Idaho, and one day he came out to work with me in the shop. And Dean's every bit as wacky as everybody else that works here. Dean decided that he would put this in here. And he did that, and so I keep it in there as sort of a little treasure.
Oh.
It doesn't mean much to anybody else. But... Oh, John McMichael. This is a good call. You'll want to get this.
Okay.
John McMichael is the vice president in charge of business operations of the Texas Rangers Baseball Club. He sent us 16 playoff tickets for the Twins. Hi, John. Oh, it's going real good. How you doing? We sure did. I met the FedEx man at the door, and I told him what was in there, and he didn't believe me. I said, no, look, really? Really, tickets. Thanks for the Nolan Ryan cards. Jeez. The bots were just hysterical. They thought that was so cool. Yeah, Crow said, what? Is he a baseball player? Yeah, Nolan Ryan's a baseball player. Thanks. So we'll cut you a check today and send it down. Thanks a bunch. That was, oh yeah, man, they're sitting on my desk. I'm the MG of all my friends. Yeah, you gonna make it up? Yep, so you get to go to 1-2 or, oh man. Oh, you sure you want to do that? Oh, what a pal. Well, let's hope it goes that far. Yeah. Oh, I think so. I think they will. Cool. All right, John, thanks. See you later. What a pal. Play out. You want to see him?
Sure.
Here's my other person. No, I don't want to be like that blocker. You'll want to see these. Play-out tickets, look at that. Thousands of dollars. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
You know, here's a question for you, man.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build this?
4 days. 4 17-hour days in a row.
So like 68 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For about 17 seconds of airtime.
How heavy is it?
It might weigh about 75 pounds with the whole drum set. Some of the pieces have been taken off because we used the drum pieces for other things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an ungodly, uncomfortable little gadget. But it's based on that alien Star Walker thing that she whipped on the alien with at the end of the show.
And I see the wall of keyboards here that they used.
Yanni.
Yeah. How long did it take you to build that?
Oh, this was a pretty easy one. It only maybe a couple hours. But I hired a friend of mine, my dear friend Barb Oswald, who came in and painted keys.
Oh,
That's all she did for like 4 hours was brush paint all the little keys, and it really, really works.
What is this? What is this one?
This is a great gadget. This is my this was the only time I've been on the air so far this season. You remember when you had the Slinky toys?
Yeah.
Right? Well, Dr. Forrester was in that end, and then I buried myself head first in the bottom of this one.
Okay.
So I was actually Dr. Forrester's better half there for a while. My friends said, "Hey, you finally got your butt on TV." Big joke.
Well, I think I'll let you introduce yourself to everybody out there.
Hi, I'm Frank. TV's Frank.
Great. Kind of an easygoing guy, aren't you, Frank? I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm heavily medicated.
Heavily
most
medicated.
of the time, so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what exactly do you do on the show?
What do I do? Well, I write for the show, which is mainly yelling out sarcastic comments as we watch the movie, and helping write host segments. I assign the lines to the characters on the show, and I'm also the character of TV's Frank.
Wow.
It's the character, the lovable and bumbling assistant evil mad scientist.
Well, how did you get the part of Frank? Was it just predetermined that you're going to be Frank, or?
No, I slept with Joel, and no.
I slept with Joel at the interview.
He didn't do it knowingly, but no, I actually knew Joel from being a stand-up comic in town. He was a comedian also, of course, and we knew each other for a few years, and then they needed someone, and I was the guy.
Oh, okay, so you didn't really have to try out for it, you just...
Well, they, hired me, and then if I screwed it up, they would have booted me out, but it hasn't happened yet. But it comes close a few times, but...
Okay. So do you like the job so far? I mean, has it been really great for you?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a great job. I was never a good student in school, and the teachers always say, Frank, what do you think you're going to do, grow up and get a job where you watch TV all day? Now it's happening. Mm-hmm.
Now, you said before that you used to be a stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I still do stand-up comedy.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you get work as a stand-up comic?
Oh, that's a painful area for me.
You don't have
No, I work, working with the show, I don't travel as much.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I did beforehand, because no one was hiring me. No, but I'm in town and I work like maybe 2 weeks out of the month, which is great for me, It just keeps me doing it, but I also have the time to myself, so.
How long have you been a stand-up comic?
Since 1986, about almost coming on 6 years almost now.
Now, when you were younger, did you think this would be the kind of job or kind of show that you would be doing, or didn't you want to be in TV when you were younger?
Oh, this is exactly what when I was younger. I kind of, I always dreamed of being a comedian, and then, I hoped I'd have a job on a really cool TV show like this, writing and performing. you know, like people on Saturday Night Live did, and laughing, and, you know, so yeah, I didn't know it would be this particular format, but, yeah, this is kind of one of the things I dreamed of, was doing something like this. I didn't know it would be in Minneapolis, but...
Well, what, you're not originally from Minneapolis?
No, I was from New York City originally.
So how'd you come here to Minneapolis?
I came here, I couldn't find an apartment in New York. I had a real estate agent, and she said, well, it's kind of outside of Manhattan a little bit. It was in Minneapolis.
Just a tad.
But the rent was a lot cheaper, so...
Well, we're gonna have to wrap this show up. So, if you, keeping in character on the show, would
Push the button,
push the button, Frank.
as only I can.
Well, we're back, and I'm Larry Stoney. I'm gonna let these gentlemen introduce themselves, starting with you.
I'm Trace Beaulieu.
Joel Hodgson.
And I'm Trace Beaulieu.
Kevin Murphy.
I, Kevin Murphy, am a puppeteer. I spend my time puppeteering.
Welcome to Tell the Truth. Anyway, now, people don't know it, but Trace is also the voice of Crow, and he also plays Dr. Clayton Forrester. We interviewed Frank in an earlier segment. And Joel Hodgson, of course, is the host of the show.
And the voice of Joel.
And the voice of Joel. And Kevin here is the voice of Tom Servo.
And I also play Uncle Dad.
Uncle Dad?
On weekends.
Sorry. Uncle Dad.
I have to ask you, gentlemen, I mean, do you find it easy to work together? I mean, how long have you all been working together professionally?
I met Kevin when he was on the set of My New Mom, which was a series that CBS was working on.
No, we find it very pleasant to work together. We all take showers before we get down into this puppet trench.
Together, or what?
Usually not.
Okay, well, that's good. That kind of calms a few fears.
It works great because they're really short guys. And so they're down there.
We're way down, yeah, we're short anyway.
Circus people.
Very short.
This way they always look up to you.
To answer your question, we've been doing this for almost 3 years now.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how we've been doing it a lot.
Well, exactly how did the idea of MST come up? I mean, how was it invented?
Jim Mallon, who's the producer of the show, he wanted to do a comedy show, and at that time him and Kevin were working at KTMA.
TV23, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
The scrappy independent channel, and they had done a series of other TV shows at this local channel, and they wanted to do another one. Jim wanted to do a comedy show, and I had this idea, and he liked it, and we got other people to do it, and we did it, and did about 20 of them. 22 of them, and then
Great response from the community.
yeah, people really liked it, and then we got in touch with HBO, and they wanted to do it with us, and so we've been doing it with them ever since. We've done how many shows with them? Around 40?
13, 26, at the end of this year, it'll be 50
Yeah,
for that one.
by Christmas.
How exactly did you come up with the voice for Crow?
Just sort of talked that way. Just started talking that way.
Just start talking about it?
Yeah. Then they hit me with a hammer, and
Until we got it right.
I'm sorry, we have a question. We have a question from the back here.
Oh, okay. Move in.
so basically we all move this way.
How's this?
Anyway, but now,
I was just getting comfy. I'm sorry.
oh, it's okay. Now, oh, great. These guys are scaring me.
Go ahead.
Now, you've been on the show for over 3 years, you said, and you're doing shows with HBO. Now, how long are you looking to last? I mean, how long do you think MST can last? How long is public support going to be there for you guys, do you think?
As long as people like you continue to watch. Keep watching. Circulate the tapes. Give as much as you can.
Now, Trace cried earlier. I wanted to talk about
You want
that.
to share that with us?
I just think I want to get paid for a long time. So keep watching the show.
We have, contractually, we'll make 80 altogether. That'll be in circulation. It may go on longer. As long as people like it, we'll keep doing it, but we will certainly do 80.
Plus, we want to live off the residuals and fat merchandising contracts.
Well, speaking of merchandising contracts, Are we ever going to see like a K-Tel seat compact disc coming out with songs from the show, or? I just have it. What, Tim, you want to get a cup?
This Christmas, we're selling a tape. That'll be a 30-minute tape of our favorite songs.
Our favorite songs that we can clear the rights to from our favorite shows. And that's going to be the first of our actual, we do have a catalog that we give to all our fans.
Oh, okay. So now,
Cups and mugs and things like that.
well, if someone wants to know how to become part of your fan club, where would they write to?
They would write to the Mystery Science 3000 Information Club, Post Office Box 5325 Hopkins, Minnesota, and that zip is Jan.
55343.
55343. Please write it. We have plenty of all your cans.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rave on.
Oh, are we? Oh, does the great Larry Snowdy have some questions for me?
Yeah, Tom.
Oh, should I bow down and answer every single cute and clever critical type question you have for me?
I'd appreciate it if you would, Tom.
Ooh, I have bated breath. I just can't wait. Ooh, ask away, please.
Now, apparently, like I said, it's a crow that Joe built you from parts of the ship. Do you know exactly what parts of the ship you were built from? Because, I mean, what ship needs a bubblegum machine?
Well, what parts of the ship were you built from? Come on. What do you think, I can explain evolution to you? Come on, get a life, please. Larry, babe, come on, wake up, smell the coffee.
Tom, don't mock me, please.
Hey, don't mock me, please. Now, put on to me, please, put on to me. Oh, please, get a hold, get a grip. Help me. He tried to kill me, you son. He tried to kill me.
Hi, we're back, and now we're talking to Joel Hodgson, alone, specific creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Now, Joel, what was it like for you as a kid growing up? I mean, what were you like as a kid?
Well, to me it was normal. It's the only life I've had.
Well, I imagine
so. I don't have anything to compare it to.
Well, I mean, would other people call you shy when you were a kid, or were you...
Oh, boy, I was hyperactive. You know, my parents didn't know what sugar did to people, and none of our parents did, and so I ingested a lot of sugar cereals and M&Ms and stuff, so I was always in a state of bouncing off the walls. When I got into college, everything cooled down a bit for my metabolism, and I was okay.
Well,
brought it down to the low level that I'm at now.
No, you were mentioning your parents. What were your parents like when you were growing up?
My dad, yeah, I was loved as a child, and my mom was a nurse, my dad was a teacher, and my dad's kind of a ham. He's kind of a goof, and he was always doing stuff for his classes. He's a really good teacher, and he was always building stuff, so that's kind of how I got into being interested in building things and inventions and stuff. And when I get into magic and stuff like that, I liked magic a lot when I was like from like 4th grade on, and magic and puppets and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's when it usually hits us most, it was around 4th grade and on.
That's when it hits hard, yeah.
Yeah,
some people keep on with it, a lot of people let it go and move on to other things, like girls and things like that.
Well, more worthwhile things than others.
Right, yeah. I'd like to have both. Both is good, magic and women.
Yeah, true. Now, not many people know this, but you were a stand-up comedian before you did MST.
Right.
Now, what influenced you to get into comedy? What inspired you?
I don't know. I was always kind of grew up performing. I did magic shows through junior high, and I used to make money that way, and through high school performed, and I just always was really interested in that stuff. And so 1981 I was in college, and I decided to go down to a comedy club and try it, and I liked it, and it worked for me.
Well, now beside the fact that you liked it, but did the people like you?
Yeah, that was part of the formula, is that people liked what I did too. I wouldn't have enjoyed it if they didn't like what I did. It would be a bad experience for me, I think.
Now, how long were you comedian before you got onto Saturday Night Live?
I had been performing for 2 years, and I went out to LA, and then I started doing Letterman and Saturday Night Live within about 2 years and 2 months of when I started.
Okay, now did that increase your bookings any? I mean, were you going through the roof after that, or?
Well, it was hard because it's like I've always worked with a lot of props, and it's hard to book. I mean, it's hard to travel with a lot of stuff. So the only way you can make money when you perform like on Letterman, you don't make enough money. You get like $300 for doing Letterman. So then you have to go on the road, and that's the part that I wasn't good at. So it was frustrating because all I liked doing was going on TV, and I didn't like going and traveling and performing live as much because you have to do the same thing over and over, you know.
Yeah. Okay, now when I interviewed you earlier, we talked about how you came up with the idea for MST. I have just one question about the name, though. Why is it 3000? I mean, everybody I know doesn't know why it's named 3000. Why is it named 3000?
It's just kind of like, everybody is saying 2000. You know, it's like Brainwave 2000 and Industry 2000 and Razor Blade 2000, and so I thought that this show is so of the future that I wanted to make it 3000. So that's pretty simple. It's just that's how much of the future it is. But it's not, doesn't take place in the year 3000. So I don't want to confuse people. It's next Sunday AD. So people get confused. They think it's in the year 3000. It's not. It could even be in the past. I don't know.
Okay. Now, after I've talked to Frank by himself, and I talked to Trace, and they were saying that they knew you before the show started.
Right.
Okay. Now, is it just like you won all your friends in on this, or they were just? Why did you get all your friends involved in this project?
Well, Kevin was with Jim, who's our producer. They worked together at this little TV station where we started doing Mystery Science Theater, and those guys were friends. And I had heard of Jim when I was in high school because of all of Jim's stuff that he did was when he was in college. He was the guy who put the Statue of Liberty up at his at the University of Wisconsin. So he was pretty famous for his stuff he did. And so I knew about him, and I'm from Wisconsin too, and Kevin was from Wisconsin. And then I met Jim because I shared a warehouse. We didn't share a space, but my workshop was in the same building as his office. So he invited me to come to TV 23, and I knew Trace from a writing group, and he came along. And then we had another guy, Josh Weinstein, who was the original, who was Lawrence Earhart, but he was only in the first season. And he brought Mike along, who's our head writer. And then I think it was Mike's idea to bring Frank. And so that's kind of how. And Paul also, our new writer, we met him through stand-up, doing stand-up. So I think that's kind of the creative side of it, how we all got together.
Okay. Now, how do you decide what movie you're going to make fun of next? I mean.
That's all done through HBO. It's very hard to get different films, you know, because the rights have to be secured. So it's not like we can just go into the video store like some people think.
Oh, so you can't go to Kmart in the $3.99 bin.
Yeah, and suddenly do the movie. The rights have to be cleared with the people who own the rights. And you know, at the very beginning of videos, when it says this is copyrighted, it's for at-home use only, that's for people like us, so we don't take it and show it on TV without asking, without them getting money from us. So that's a process that is very technical. It takes a lot of people making a lot of phone calls, making deals, and so luckily the show works with really cheap movies, and so they're not real expensive, but they still can be hard to find sometimes.
Okay. How many times do you have to watch a film before the creative juices get flowing, before you start getting ideas of what to do?
Well, we watch it like the first time. I mean, we've done so many. We've probably done like 60 movies all along. I mean, so far, 50, and we just are ready to do it. So right away when we turn it on, people start making jokes, and it takes about a day to get through the first movie, and we watch movies about a total of 8 times from the time we start till the very end. So that's how many times
so
we've
it's
seen
pretty
it.
quick. So
It's 8 days. Every 8 days we make a new show.
Oh, geez. Now, Do you own Best Brains Studio, or is it a collaboration of all of you?
It's incorporated, and the principals of the company are Jim and myself and Trace and Kevin.
Okay. Now, are there any movies that you'd like to have on the show that you'd like to make fun of? I mean, Citizen Kane or something, or...
Well, you have to be... I'm too kind of practical about it to have a wish list. One that I've always wanted to do, which we're going to do this year, is Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which we've been looking forward to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on the show, you make a lot of references to comic books, Wizard of Oz, and, like I said earlier, defunct TV shows that no one has heard of in about 20 years. Now, do you personally remember this, or is it your creative staff that does it all, or...?
Well, it's a collage of everybody. It's like, I can't, it's like everybody has ideas, and the nature of the show is such, there's so many remarks each show that everybody gets to put stuff in that they like to. And so it's really everybody's imprint all over the show, as far as the references go and things that make us laugh.
Okay. Now, who do you think your show appeals to most of all? Or do you have a target audience, or is it just anybody and anyone?
It's wide open. It's like from our mail, we get people who are, we get little kids, we get people who have parents with kids, So it's really wide open. It's been a constant surprise. I always imagined it would be like real video files and college kids that would like it, but it's really broad, and that's what's fun, is to hear from different people. So it's really one of those shows that it seems like a lot of different people like it.
Okay, well, speaking of hearing from people, have you ever been contacted by some of the actors or directors whose movies you've made fun of? And has it been generally good? Yeah,
they're always really nice. The only one time we got unfavorable remark was who's the guy from Daddy-O? Yeah, we made fun of, we make fun of everybody whose movies we do, but we got a call from a family of this guy we made fun of, and they didn't seem too pleased. But Miles O'Keefe called, and he's the star of, what's the name of that, Jim? Cave Dwellers, right, and he was really into it. He enjoyed it and thought it was great. So most people who call really like it and are very, everybody, that's one situation, but if people call from movies they've done, they really enjoy it and have a good time with it.
Okay, now the only reason why I'm getting away with saying this word is because I'm asking you in the form of a question. Have you ever had trouble with censors about dickweed?
No. Because what does dickweed mean?
That's the thing.
See, nobody knows.
Okay, so you have a whole thing to play with there. Nobody knows exactly what it means.
Yeah, dickweed is just something everybody called each other when we were in junior high, and it's just kind of like a jerk or a goof or something like that.
Have you ever had trouble with the censors at all about anything?
No, because we're on cable. But we never really, we tend to not do any of the naughty words.
Well, that's good, considering it's a family show.
Yeah.
Now, I was watching one of your shows, and I think it was in the first season you were on the Comedy Channel, and Tom Servo, there was a bunch of people lying down, and apparently they passed out from too much drinking, and Tom Servo said, okay, who made the Kool-Aid? Making reference to a man that killed his family by serving poison Kool-Aid.
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
Killed him. Extended family.
Is there any subject you won't touch or make fun of?
Oh yeah, sure. One thing, it's kind of like, again, you're dealing with such a broad topic that it's kind of like we really have to trust each other when something is offensive. And so often if somebody has just feels like that's not funny. Like there was one situation where there was a movie where a woman got slapped and somebody wrote the joke, "Thank you, sir, can I have another? May I have another?" And somebody said, "I just think that's wrong, I'd really rather take that out." And we just have a rule that if somebody has a problem with a joke that they bring it up and we take it out. The nicest thing about the show, again, is there's just so many jokes that nobody really cares if you have to take a joke out. And so we kind of have this way of policing the show. So everybody, like, somebody will just, it's just something that'll rub me the wrong way, or anybody, and they'll just go, I don't like that, I don't feel good about that, you know, that's not fair, or that's not funny, or that's offensive. And that's how we police what we do, you know.
Well, have you ever had one of your fans call you or get in contact with you saying that they think you went too far for a joke and that you went a little bit too low?
No. I don't think so. Oh, well, yeah, occasionally we do. Once we made an epileptic joke about somebody, and a person wrote in and said they didn't feel that was fair. And so we also made fun of the guy who was the drummer from Def Leppard. And
I remember that show.
The guy who has one hand. And people wrote in and said, oh, that's not fair. And so it's bound to happen, you know. But we tend to, once people write in and say don't do that,
you tend to shy away from it.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with that because it's a huge world of stuff to make fun of, and we're really more interested in like breaking new ground with jokes and stuff like that than the atypical stuff that other people are exploring. So
now you're getting a lot of favorable press. I mean, the press seems to love you and your show. But there are some critics that say that your following will only be like a Rocky Horror type of thing, a cult following. Are you happy with that, or do you think it's more than that?
I don't really have an opinion on it. It's like, from our point of view, a lot of people that have watched it really like it. So I don't really have an opinion. If people, I can understand why people really like it. I can understand if people don't like it. So it's something to do.
Do you think that MST has reached its highest plateau? Have you gone as far as you can go, or do you think there's more worlds that you can still conquer?
Oh yeah, more worlds we can still conquer. We're working on doing a feature film.
A feature film, like something that's going to be put out in the theaters?
Yeah.
Do you have any basis of a plot yet, or what's going to happen?
It'll be just like the show, except it'll be in a movie theater.
Okay. All right. I have to ask you a question. If MST didn't come back for another season, okay, and God forbid that happens, what would you do another series? I mean, would you be off doing another series?
Oh, sure. We're working on new ideas all the time, and so, but we're kind of have a contract for the next 2 years, so probably when we're done here, we'll have another show we'll want to be working on.
Well, if the show ends after the 2 years and no one wants to do any more, would you seriously consider going back to stand-up comedy?
I don't know. It's fun to do. It's tough because you got to travel with your stuff, and I have a lot of stuff, so that I'm kind of have a phobia about that. It's fun to perform and show people your ideas and stuff. I like that. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll probably just keep doing TV stuff.
Okay, so I was going to ask you if you missed stand-up comedy at all. I mean, do you miss the live audience? I mean,
sometimes sometimes you do. It's kind of like when you're a comic and all the comics are hanging around in the back of the club, and you're all going up. It's like surfing, you know, you're all watching, and one guy's going up or a woman's going up, and you do well or you do bad, and that's when I kind of wish, I wish I had my stuff here so I could go up. But other than that, it's like we have as much fun doing this. It's a lot nicer, and you can keep regular hours, you know. You can go home at night, and you don't have to stay up real late. And
what do you think of today's comedians?
Well, there's really a lot of them, and some pretty neat ones that are good, and really a lot of bad ones, and it's just like you have to be a little bit more discriminating than you did maybe 8 years ago or something.
Okay, well, here's a question for you. What do you think of the comedians that have to use foul language to get a laugh? I mean, do you think that they're a major problem on the comedy circus, or is the man too great for them that they're a force to be reckoned with?
Well, it's kind of wherever people come from, you know. If they like come from a reality where they think that's okay to do that, and audiences like to see them, it gets a little discouraging on the level where if you're not doing that stuff, it's hard to be in a club where everybody's doing that. That gets frustrating from my point of view. But it's hard on those people once they try to get on TV, because if all they know are like really filthy things, or what are considered filthy in our society, they have a harder time getting on TV. So they can be really funny in a club, but once it's time to get on Letterman or Arsenio or Late Night, it gets so, Late Night or Carson, it gets harder for those people.
Okay. Well, Joe, I'm going to have to start wrapping up this interview, but I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule for me.
Thank you, Larry.
And but I do have one more question for you. What would you tell the people out there that want to get started in the entertainment business?
Well, I would say don't waste the audience's time. If you have something you want to show people, you show it to them, and that's kind of what I say to people who want to do stand-up too, is just get to the thing you want to show people and do that. And a lot of people try to be really cool and kind of slink into stuff, but be direct is the best advice I can give to people who, whatever they're thinking about getting into. Just do it. Don't think about it, talk about it, or worry about it. Just try it.
Okay. Well, John, I appreciate it, and thanks very much.
Thanks for coming up here, Larry.
Hope to do it again sometime.
Okay, bye-bye. Commercial sign.
Kevin. Dan and Keith and Kevin and Tim, right?
Right.
Okay. The check didn't clear. We need the money. What do you want me to say? Just hi? Hello.
Cool.
How you doing?
Thanks a lot.